Hello, Facebook relatives. How's it going? Um, I felt called to share what I feel is important about the last few shares and to hopefully clarify it into something actionable. And what I mean by that is making a fundamental choice in your life. How you spend your time and what is your priority. Seriously, right now, I feel we are being called to make the fundamental choice from living being externally referenced, right? Trying to figure out some way how to navigate the mad chaos that's around us, or or maybe focus our attention on something we can actually do something about. Our sacred space, our space, what do we feel? What is calling you forth? What do you dream of? What do you aspire? What do you love? What are you willing to stand up for right now? Right? Just saying. Marcus Aurelius, Stoic philosopher. Oh, crucial distinction in our world, right? Are we going to be externally referenced? Come on, August. Or internally referenced? Right? So for me, what that practically means is, what do I do first thing in the morning? Who do I show up for? Everyone else or me, right? And for me, one of those core practices, because it is a practice like anything, it is worth our time and love and devotion. Something that we invest ourselves heart and soul, that becomes our ultimate concern. Your precious self, right? Unstruck place. What the meditation traditions call the witness, the observer, right? What the Western mystical traditions call the seat of the soul, the kingdom of heaven within, right? Breathe through the Holy Spirit. The Atman in the East in its beloved dance with Braham of all creation, to paraphrase Rumi. The ocean of consciousness in the droplet of your biodynamic, sexy meat suit. Ooh, brave soul! You chose to incarnate at the pinnacle, of the story of humanity, right? Please, pause, please. Let us pause from this moment and look at our times from a greater historical and, more importantly, her story, right? The last 5,000, 12,000 years, for the vast majority of our 200,000 existence, 200,000 years of our existence, we lived in harmony and coherence with nature, with each other, with ourselves. Right? Oh, what's referred to as the time of the Great Mother, right? So the human, right, life. So back to the action. And we'll bring it back towards making that commitment to ourselves. And what I feel is essential for our times is to be able to forge our sword of discernment. Okay? What is out of our control? What is within our control? Cultivating the ability to accept and work with what's out of our control and devote ourselves to what's within our control. And our journey, our quest, is described both in the East and the West with these beautiful stories. In the East, our life is compared towards a horse-driven carriage. Right? Our minds, or what I would say our trauma, are our horses, and our horses, our trauma, are driving our lives. How much sense does it make for the horses to run the carriage, right? What a pickle. So the work is to empower your driver to tame those horses and to guide them, and your driver knows where your passenger wants to go. This soul, this Atman, this diamond, right? Your inspiration, what calls you forth. And as you devote time to both training the body, the driver, the mind, to be connected towards your soul. And describing core practices for taming the mind, creating a sense of connection, of safety, of empowerment, of inspiration. Right? So the practice, this meditation practice of coming to a seat and listening to yourself, listening to your mind. And as you sit, you make the commitment to focus your attention on your breath. Your work, your practice is to simply notice. Notice what you're feeling. Notice when your mind starts pulling you to all the many things you've got to figure out to stay alive and to do the things and to figure out things. They are important. They are important. Your commitment is for this time period to focus on something else. What's within your control. Your ability to focus your attention. This is really what I feel this is about. Where to focus your attention, your energy, and your life force. What's out of your control or what's within your control. Simple, epically challenging. And the only way to really make progress is to develop these tools, these ways, our sort of discernment, right? That allows us to work, tame our horses. In the West, Plato, right? Socrates, Plato, those dudes. So Plato described it as these minds, these things, as our monsters. And he too described in those times that most people were ruled by their monsters. And the path, the philosopher, like in Socrates, I feel that's the closest the Western mind had a grip on things. We'll see. So Socrates, right? Like philosophy, the love of wisdom, and really for him of like, what is a good life? How are we good human beings? How are we truthful? What is truth? To be true to the beauty. And on his quest for truth, he was labeled an incinerator, corrupter of the young mind. So they were court, blah, 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 punished to death. He had the option. He was given the option to go into exile or drink the hemlock, right? He was like, punks, give me the cup. Fictional gangster, like. And he willingly took the hemlock as a representation of his commitment towards his truth, towards his diamond, towards his witness, towards his Atman, towards your inspiration. You hear it, you feel it, it is still there. Stop and listen. Just say. So, this diamond, right? So, Plato, in the same way, described that we all had an inner lion and that we could train the inner lion to tame the monsters. And this would guide us into ourself, into the diamond, what they call their eudaimonia, right? More than just the life purpose, but like the flowering of your essence, which I feel reconnects us to the story of the Great Mother. Imagine, if you will, you're lovingly born into a world with a set of 50 to 75 eyes and hearts that are seeing you, that are welcoming you, that are curious to see what is it that you are called for, cultivating your curiosity, empowering you to follow your sense of awe and wonder, because everyone knew that you were a gift. A gift from Creator sent to us to keep the health and the well-being of the collective. So for the health of the collective, it was super beneficial to empower the individual to find their authenticity. What do they love? Imagine doing what you love to make a living, because you were doing you. You were seeing you being you. You were appreciated for you being you. And you felt great for doing what you loved, being seen for it, being appreciated for it, and loving the whole thing. Pretty great story. Just saying. So, practically back towards really that fundamental choice and asking you, inviting you, proposing that the most potent action for you to be marketable, to be able to make a living, is not working harder and harder, working up earlier and earlier and going later and still being stressed all about it. You're not going to outcompete the machine. Jobs are being outsourced, AI is coming up. All those things that can be replicated, they're going to figure it out. The only thing they can't figure out is who you really are. What is your essence? What is your gift? And as you reclaim that, you become a healing energy around you. You help others find that, right? The story of the imaginal cell, which I feel is so insightful and practical towards our times, right? The imaginal cell begins as a caterpillar. A caterpillar, much like our society, eats a swath of destruction, eating as much as 100 times its own body weight in a day. So yes, Brave Soul, imagine, if you will, that and our current technologies keep accelerating, where our virtual reals become so narrative to fidelity. They seem so real, right? Maybe even that they have a little contraption where you can plug in and become a character in the video game. And that kind of ties in with our ability to support life and genetically mutate things and kind of create things with the physical body, maybe making it a bit eternal, maybe. And so you're able to create these worlds, and as the one, what turns you on the most, the games that you love, are the ones that make you forget you're the one, right? Because the story goes, right? Look this up, do your research, right? This is Stan Grof, the Encyclopedia of the Psychonaut, which will resound with the Psychonauts. And for those non Psychonauts, highly recommend them, and definitely a sacred container. And also holotropic breathwork. Like for you non-chemical based, look into his work that way and really working with your breath to be able to reach these states of glimpsing reality. Actually experience this oneness. Right? So again, that oneness, right? After eons and eons and eons of having every single desire, want, and things manifested instantly, also knowing how it all works out and is interconnected and being omniscient and just kind of in a realm that's like beyond our finite minds, right? In that infinite vastness of possibility and knowing all possibilities and existing them and getting everything we ever wanted ever. And it got super boring because awesome all the time is kind of boring. And then we, as the one, also as the one, we realized there was no other. No one to play with, no one to dance with, no one to have a conversation with, no one to go up on a hike with, no one to have a disagreement with, no one to share existence and all of consciousness with. Pretty lonely. Out of our existential longing and boredom, we decided to create the cosmological peekaboo of this universe. Right? We chose to create the illusion of duality. And boom, the big breath. 13.8 billion years ago, this explosion of energy, supposedly at one point, this universal light of explosion as it expanded and cooled. As it cooled, all these quantum particles and quarks start kind of forming. As it continues to expand, it cools further, darkening. At one point, light extinguishes and gravity takes hold. And the first starts to draw in the first hydrogens and heliums and starts pulling them together and closer and closer and closer together until the interactions between the atoms are so frequent and so high powered, they are so hot. That's how you measure temperature, collisions, and action. These explosions to the point of the and atoms fuse together, building larger atoms, and a small amount of energy transformed into light. Light re-enters the universe. The first stars are born. They go through their own life-death cycle. As the hydrogen and the helium's consumed and turned into carbon and lithium and some of the heavier elements, as the hydrogen and helium start to run out and the explosions become smaller and smaller, gravity starts to cold, light starts to diminish. until again the collisions and the next heavy element. And it goes through this life, death, winter, spring cycle until it reaches iron. At iron, super interesting point, it's no longer energetically possible to create the energy no matter how much it is, and it just doesn't get hot enough. So the star has three options or three paths. If it had a small enough mass at the beginning, gravity just keeps taking hold and you just keep going and everyone just kind of keeps going. And it just kind of dies into this dwarf star type thing. Light extinguishes. If it's super massive enough, gravity keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. Then it tears a rupture in the space-time continuum. A wormhole. What's that? Right? Still don't know. A lot of theories. So if it's just perfect, and I mean just perfect, it explodes in a supernova. An explosion so hot, so energetically infused that it fuses the rest of the heavy elements. And these propagate through space, and gravity takes hold. And things, if they're just cosmologically perfect, there's a solar system with a star that kind of gets these planets that kind of are super beneficial for the third planet that has just the perfect, again, astronomically kind of improbable perfect, and it has the elements for life. And so there's the first hydrocarbons and things, and then some hydrocarbons somehow, there's the part of the scientific mystery, the mystery, just saying, the scientific mystery. And somehow these hydrocarbons figure out how to reproduce, getting on in the hydrocarbon kind of way, reproduce and produce energy. And life takes hold in the first bacteria. Life. Out of where? It's a mystery. So bacteria live like this for some billion years, and then some bacteria figure it out. How? Mystery. They figure it out to use respiration. What is sort of like the industrial revolution for the evolution of life, plants, animals, amphibians, and we start getting reptiles, and it's just an explosion of different life forms. Right? And in this evolution, reptiles, mammals, and the humans, there's this growing central nervous system with this larger and larger brain that can kind of do some pretty great things, right? And this larger and larger way of being able to interact and get to know the world, right, reached a point where it freed us from instincts. Now, as diverse as the definition for instincts is, I feel we can agree that a reptile is freer from instincts than an amoeba, and a mammal is freer than a reptile, and we're freer than a mammal. So with this freedom, right, we also couldn't rely on our instincts, on our gut feelings. There was like all these things to figure it out. So it was of vital importance that we figure out how the world works and our place within it. Our world view. How do we get our needs met? What's good? How do we survive and live in a good way? Right? The first stories were that of the Great Mother. Right? Knowing that we live in a world that is alive and in constant communication with us. we would listen to the wind, to the sounds of the animals. We would hold sacred the mountains and the rivers as our mother, the source of our well-being and life in this beloved relationship. Pretty good story. And what is called by some historians the first affluent age. Because after spending a few hours hunting and gathering and tending to camp, we had the vast majority of our time for our leisure. What do we want to do with our time? What do we enjoy? What gives us nourishing? We would connect with those around us, sing songs, go on hikes, be on nature, create, whatever drove us forth in a loving environment. Right? We lived in this interconnected tribe where we cooperated and there was a web of mutual support. So we figured out agriculture. Again, why? They told us, you will toil for the rest of your life. How did we buy that story, right? So we bought that story. And most of the time it was through the sword. For the last 5,000 years or so, right? We were ruled by kings and monarchs and things in a hierarchy of power and income inequality, right? By the sword. Democracy and capitalism were supposed to set us free. But if we look at power and income inequality, we find the same hierarchy. In the times of the ancient Greeks, Alexander the Great, the Romans, the Middle Ages, the church, our modern times, right? The 1% holds all the power while it oppresses the vast majority of the populace, desecrating the earth for the benefit of the very few. That's our common enemy, or one of them, right? And that our engagement, our possibility is to be like the woolly masters, to once again draw the sword of discernment. What is out of our control, right? What is within our control? Us showing up, filling our cup every single morning. So I don't think I finished the one on the meditation practice and the real benefit. Again, the existential benefit for you and your meditation practice. Your ability to focus your attention on things that are good for you. Or, the other way. That you make that choice to focus your love and your attention on you, right? You can control that 1 hour. For those of us that have the privilege, that can somehow work that out, please, let's step up. Morning practice. It is actually quite simple. Externally reference, internally reference. So this choice, externally reference, internally reference, which taken right? So say we were this race that reached this singularity and created these video games, and we look around and we're like, okay, what's the program? What's the stories? And maybe our story writers would look at every single other story that we had created ever since time throughout different geographies and time periods and cultures that is still found in most of our indigenous and mystical traditions. What the Vedantic traditions call Maya, which is much more than the illusionary world. It's the substratum of all of creation, the erotic energy of procreation that underlines all the essences and blossoms while being grounded to the rooted source that gives all to rise. This paradoxical yin yang heroes camels type of thing that's a mystery. It's somewhat beyond words, descriptions, but it's a felt experience, something you know when you're there, and you know when you're not there. Most of us are not there, stressed out. And the most effective way, right? So yeah, right. So back to the video game thing. So we create video games, a story that's throughout times, culture, and found in most of our movies, the heroic heroine's journey, the one that feels called towards adventure, right? It's the story of Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, Frodo Baggins, Barbie, Jake Scully from Avatar, right? The story goes, right? Everything's cool, everything's normal, everything. Here's that calling. Do not, most of them don't heed the call. And then what happens? These random, painful, escalating, challenging situations trying to make the heroine see what would happen if they do not follow the calling. Sort of like what's happening right now. Things are gonna keep escalating until we heed the call. Simple. What's the call? I don't know. You know. You know what is your call. What is calling you forth? What is calling you forth, right? That's the hack in this whole video game, that you actually have all your answers. Everything that you need to meet your needs is within you. You can figure this out, right? That is why you came into this time, my brave soul. And the paradoxical thing about figuring it out, it's this surrendering and back to your practice. Because every time that you notice, right, you're sitting in meditation, committing to focus your attention, your energy, your life on your breath. In that meditation, we get into why your breath is such a powerful tool in this whole process. Fundamental tool. Just take a breath with me. Maybe place a hand in your belly. Feel your feet, maybe bend them a little. Take a breath from the very root of you. Close your eyes for just a hot minute, maybe. Super deep. And release. And let's do two more. So that simple practice, the hack, your human biodynamic suit has an on-off switch, right? Your vagus nerve. Two states, very general, but pretty much. Two states. Stressed out, reacting to life from your survival mechanisms. From all the ways that you learn to stay alive but don't really work out too good. Constraining your life in unhealthy, ineffective patterns. Patterns that most of us don't see because our monsters and our minds are running the show. Time to step up. The other facet of our common enemy is this inner tyrant, right? We are living in the age of shame. The vast majority of us have this incessant voice in our head that says, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Don't be stupid. They're all going to laugh at you. You're going to be rejected. You're not strong enough. You're not successful enough. And you're definitely not safe enough. Work fucking harder. Maybe one day, but not now. You're not enough. And it also tells us there's not enough, right? There's not enough love. No, that person doesn't have the time. I'm not worthy. There's not enough resources. And again, for those of us privileged enough to actually be able to ask these questions, we don't have enough energy, whatever it is. You name it, it is in short supply and you're not good enough. Don't even try, buddy. Sit your ass down. The inner fucking tyrant, the monster, the horses. Right? Hardwired into our survival mechanism during our most formative and vulnerable years. Right? Again, life, how our brains work, right? For the first 8 years of our life, so the way the brain works is that it operates at different wavelengths, sort of like different music, right? You've got your maybe your psych trance, your heavy metal, right? You have your alpha, beta, kind of super groovy. You can find like the boom, right? And that those high beta are amazing at getting shit done, right? This part of the brain is what empowers you to make rice, right? You don't have to figure the whole thing up, how to turn on the stove, what's a cup, where do you find it, what's the things. You know all the things and you make rice super calculate without you even know it, right? Really good at learning things, giving you tools, repeating them. The challenge is this isn't where your creativity lies, right? This is what's worked before. Your creativity, you're actually able to respond from the moment and with your full breadth of higher emotional range and your emotional awareness, your true reason and creativity, right? Am I getting into those alpha and beta waves, right? So for 0 to 8, we're in these alpha and beta states, which is a very highly programmable. Imagine putty, right? Putty you can shape. And around 7, 8, it becomes hard. And that's what rules our lives. Our monsters, our trauma, our minds. And again, that in this evolutionary genius, in this whole moment that we're in, our necessary nemesis to enact our own quest of liberation, of empowerment. Right? Again, super simple. You showing up for you. Right, first thing in the morning. I highly recommend an hour. Um, and the 20 minutes of that is devoted for your silent meditation. Of course, if you're new, don't try 20 minutes. Like, really think of yourself of consistency and doability. What we're aiming for is consistency, that you go to the gym, that you put in the time, that you do your reps. So start super small, do your stretches before, whatever it takes. And you start small, 3, 5 minutes, right? And commit, maybe for the next 3 days. 5 minutes in the morning. Take a breath. I'm going to release another meditation, a short one, 5 minutes. And I released a longer one. So really, I feel to maybe bring it back to the original point and the importance I feel of really what I feel is of our existential priority and bringing out our sort of discernment. What is out of our control? What is within our control? Find a way. Start carving out that time for you. The amazing part, again, of our understanding of the psyche, our inner world reality, is that we are being offered tools never available to humanity, ways of interconnecting. There's so much arising right now that we have no idea really what's unfolding. The only thing that we can do is, do we react or do we respond? What the author of My Grandmother's Hands, Razim McKenna, shares as this pivotal point, right? He describes it between clean pain and dirty pain. And dirty pain is the pain of avoidance, of shutting down, of running away emotionally, mentally, physically, of playing the part, of doing what's expected, trying to people please, trying to figure out how to get the love and attention and all the things you really desire from the outer world. Monsters, no bueno, no bueno, no bueno, no, no, right? So gently, kindly, consistently empowering your driver, your inner lion, right? Time for the roar. Let's fucking go. It's time. You know, you hear your calling. I will share to the best of my abilities the tools and the maps and the words that have helped me make somewhat of a progress in this understanding realization. I do hope, I pray that there's some benefit. Again, your highest guru, your highest teacher is within you. You will find all your answers within. It is epically challenging. Oh yeah, let me sum up maybe with you. So at these moments, clean pain, dirty pain, right? Shutting down, running away, creating more pain for yourself, for others, suffering, just perpetuating the cycle of violence. Normal, common sense, right? Fighting against each other, bombing each other, reasonable. Or, right, inner world. No matter what's happening out there, all you can do is your best. All you can do is your best. Your best is really empowered by you building this muscle. Cultivate your muscle of awareness. Forge your sword of discernment. Right? Create the cauldron for you to be able to hold what is going within you. time tested, scientifically verified. A practice. Ultimate concern. And that brings us to the heroes, back to the heroes' journeys, right? So the heroine, Nemo, Barbie, things, they keep going, facing these challenges, and these outer challenges keep escalating to the point where dark and nefarious forces threaten all that is sacred and essential to life. Right? Sound familiar? Stories that have been shared by the mystical indigenous traditions, found in an archetypal perspective of our universe. And in that moment, right, they face the critical choice to continue a perilous war against the outer enemy, witnessing the destruction of everything that they love and hold sacred, or face their inner demons, to be with their feelings, with their limiting thoughts, with their stories about the world and about the place within. Resolving, addressing the root cause of the challenges. If, this is why we love them so much, because right at that moment, they are crushed. It seems done, right? Falling apart, facing these overwhelming odds. This is where we're at the edge of our seat. This is why we pay the good money for movies that gets us to this point of not knowing. How are these tiny little forces gonna overcome this whole nefarious dark Mordor? Impossible. And the vast majority of them deliver. They get back up. Luke becomes one with the Force. Barbie liberates the other Barbies. Nemo gets back home. Jack Scully becomes the fifth Marduk. Greatest comeback of all time. Imagine, if you will, right? Again, we're these highly evolved beings that reached the singularity that created a video game that's so virtual that it actually feels real, that you feel, oh yeah, the thing about these video games and what makes them so hot is that right before you come into the video game, you take a pill that makes you forget you're the one. Ha ha. You come to believe that you're the character in the movie. Right? First, how cool. Second, how tragic. Kinda. Right? You, brave soul, chose to create, to come, embody, incarnate in a universe world that is specifically designed to separate you from your diamond, from your witness, from your feelings, from the wisdom of your body, from you knowing you are a special and unique gift. You knowing. That's why I was born. I got a gift. Everyone is supporting me doing that. It's not hubris. That's just the way it is. That's how it was for the vast majority of our 200,000 year existence. Right? So the necessary nemesis, right, in this humanity archetypal thing, the patriarchy being ruled by the sword, desecrating the earth, oppressing the masses, what a fucking story, bro. Like, holy shit, right? Talk about emotions. Talk about experience as the one. Like, wow. And I think of, for a long time, for some time, I had a lot of dad issues, as most of us does, and I was bitching and complaining to a friend about my dad issues. And he looked at me and he's like, who would you become if you were born when he was born? I'm like, holy shit, I'd be just like him. He's like, yeah, he took the bullets so you could be born in a freer state. And I think of the trauma that has been inflicted on our collective and personal bodies. That, right? Our common enemy that, much like the outer enemy, we engage seeking to listen, to understand, right? Coming to know these parts inside of us, understanding them, right? Like, most of us grew up in a pretty traumatic situation, right? It's really a varying of degree, not if there's an existence or not, right? That's just how it's been for 5,000 years. It's been getting a little bit better and better each, pretty much. Like like the freedoms, the knowings, the knowledge, the wisdom that's available to us. Again, in this story, like what a marvelous, the screenwriters in this whole thing, 13.8 billion years, right? So the hierarchy is based on separation, on that other, on trying to control the outer world, right? And to tame nature, which has led towards our desecration because we forgot. We were disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from the web of life. Right? That's the story, right? Like, that's what's ruled 5,000 years, and we know where that's going. That's accelerating us. I mean, let us just look around towards the sixth mass extinction, right? Whoa. We are required to make a fundamental pivot in how we live in this world, how we make a living in all the things. And that pivot, again, only you know it, and only you are going to know it if you show up to your practice. So, hero's journey. Do we continue fighting the outer world, witnessing the destruction of everything we love? Again, this is an epic challenge that we face. In those moments, these limiting thoughts, these ways of being trigger us into anger, into reacting from our survival, punching, shutting down, right? Everything is escalating right now. So please, please, please show up for yourself so you can show up for others. People need a hug. People do not need for you to figure out their lives. Let us seek to listen. Please. Maybe another little action challenge. Reach out to a person, someone you've been thinking about, someone that you've been wanting to connect with. And text them, give them a call, say what's up, drop in, maybe have a cup of tea, maybe dinner, whatever. Just check up on them, see what's up. So many of us are on the ledge right now. We're all on the ledge to some form. I have been through some edges recently. Whoa, girl. So, the only way we can really be effective in these times, again, is are we reacting? So, back to that clean pain and that dirty pain. The challenge with that dirty pain is connected to our survival mechanism, trigger us, floods our bodies with cortisol, adrenaline, and the rest of the stress hormones. Blood flow goes from the organs to the periphery, to the muscles, ready to fight, flight, ready to play the part, ready to freeze, ready to do whatever I got to do to stay alive. I am figuring out what's going on and what do I got to do, right? Doesn't work. You, in those moments, are operating from the monsters. Right? So, again, the importance of your practice. Maybe I won't rant on the practice on the other ones. And really, I just felt called to, one, what a story, right? And that it's actually quite simple. Tools, sword of discernment, strength of vulnerability. I'll share about the strength of vulnerability later a bit. Sword of discernment, first step. You being able to choose where you invest your time, your energy, your attention, your resources. Reclaiming your sovereignty, right? What's true to you? That's the conversation, right? Let us pause from trying to argue with others. It's crazy enough, right? Like really, again, we'll get into the alchemical hermetic principles. One of the core principles in the mystical indigenous scientific things is that as above, so below is real, right? In this fractal universe, the world that we live with is core created by the way that we are and the way that we perceive it, right? Vast majority is living in the area of shame are going through this inner revolt, right? I don't know if it's so much of a revolt. That inner tyrant has been ruling us for so long. Some of us, most of us, sorry to say it, don't even know that. They're like, what inner tyrant? What voice? Please, if that's you, sit down for 30 seconds, be quiet, focus on your breath, let me know what's going on in there. If you say, what voice? That voice, right? Be quiet for 30 seconds, see if you can do it. For those of you that are aware of these monsters, our traumas, our patterns, our whole things, again, the tools to help us heal that, to bring those parts back into the circle of wholeness, to really come into a reintegration with self, right? Reclaiming, being okay with our feelings. It's okay. You are you, right? It's okay. Imagine, right? And trusting. Trusting in yourself, trusting in life. I'll get more back into like the trusting life again, like both the scientific that's being revealed and for me personally, right? A brother shared with me also about the simplicity of things and that on this journey that it's kind of pretty simple, right? What's your ultimate concern? Feel that our ultimate concern is that you. Who are you? What's calling you forth? What do you dream of? Let's make it happen. We can do it. 2, our conversation with Creator, right? I'll try to get into that and we'll get into some realms there. And really, again, as I share more of these stories and practices, really asking you to bring it into your life. Prove me wrong. You can disagree with all the blah, 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 blah words. Show up for your practice. If it's not the ones that I'm sending out, find someone. Meditate for 20 minutes for 28 days and see what happens with your life. Devote the first hour of your day to you and see what happens to your life. Simple. You don't have to listen to a word I say, what I would love. Make the pivotal choice. Marcus Aurelius, sword discernment. What's out of your control? What's within my control? Do your best to take action on what's within your control. All right, an hour. I think I can go on rambles. Sometimes I love them. I hope they make sense. Please, if they make sense, I feel I've got some maybe hopeful words for our times, and again, maybe ways of seeing and practices that bring actual benefit and help us become a little bit more kind and compassionate and to ourselves and to others, and hopefully living by the golden rule, right? Simple, simple. Be kind. Seek to listen. Be a good host. Imagine divinity dressed in drag in each person. Right? Get curious. Why is life sending me this? Especially the challenging feelings. The anger, the wanting to lash out, the isolation, the sadness, the dark emotions as they're labeled. Those are our gatekeepers. Those are our liberators. Our quest is to find, to build that strength of vulnerability, that cauldron, to hold those parts. I'm definitely going to get more into that. And again, first step, the monsters run under your unconscious. They rule you before you even know it. You are living under the inner tyrant. Your liberation is dependent upon you being able to choose where you focus your time and attention, training your empower, your driver, connecting to your soul, your passenger. Right? The monsters rules us. Stimulus, reaction, boom. Anger, boom, boom. Ineffective, unhealthy, keep repeating them. It sucks, it's painful, but that's the only way I know how to be normal. Common sense. Fuck that. No more. Epic enemy, right? It feels that we'll be killed. Adrenaline, stress, making us feel like we are going to be literally killed if we say what we want, if we speak our needs, we define our boundaries, if we speak our truth, we go after what we really desire. That shutting down in our stomach, that punching so much anger right now, right? Again, in this holographic video game, could you have written a more perfect nemesis? An entire system that programmed us with an inner tyrant, right? So what capitalism and democracy really did is that they... My dog wants to come in. Just a little bit. Right? So in these moments, we literally feel as if we're going to be killed if we speak our truth, if we follow our diamond and we follow that passenger, that self, right? That's the dragon we got to slay. And how do we slay it? Again, through the practice. So in your practice, right, both things. Taming the monsters, empowering your driver. And as you sit into that silence, as you connect to that unstruck place, right? Look it up. I'll share more about it, but look up the unstruck place. Ali Bogart. Go check her out for meditation. I'll put up links. I've been graced with such great teachers, like the amazing part, and also the sacredness about it. Once we start entering these realms, this is your sacred space. So really look for the guide, the teacher, the that really resounds with you. Right? Everything's a little different. This is just my way, but really, 20 minutes, silent meditation, start slow, 5 minutes. I think I'm going to put a 28-day challenge type thing. I don't know yet. Yeah, definitely, but I don't know when. Cool. So please, if anything resounds, again, first thing, go to your practice. Second, if you could, please, pretty please, like, share, give me comments. Is this making sense? Oh, right. Reach out. Right? Reach out. Let's help each other off the ledge. Right? None of those are free. right? Until we're all free. And really, again, back towards our circle of influence. What's within our control? How do we respond to the challenges in our lives, right? Please, another thing, stop watching the news, please, right? We are highly programmable. You are being fed the story of fear. Turn it off. What can you really do about it? Check in. Maybe also go, if you can't go cold turkey, limit yourself and notice what the effect of you investing 30 hours, I don't know how many, of your time listening to the machine, right? The monsters. No bueno. No bueno. No bueno. This indeed could be a great time, super challenging, right? So again, oh yeah, finish with the clean paint. So dirty paint, survival, or clean paint, right? Epic, you're feeling like you're gonna be killed, like it sucks. Yet you're able to take a breath and you're able to trust yourself and you're able to take an action in the face of that fear, right? Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being able to do what you're called for in the face of that fear, right? The tragic, hilarious irony is that when we're triggered, 99.999% of the time, we are actually safe. There's no car. We still have our job, kind of, today at least. There's food in the fridge for today at least. Like, my life is not actually physically threatened, right now. Yet it feels on consistent and regular basis that we are going to be killed, right? We live in a world that specifically designed the holographic universe to stress us out, to trigger our trauma and force us to react. That's what it's designed. That's the holographic video game. The hack is inside of you. You know you do you, right? Again, simple. Epically challenging. And this ability to stay open, to be curious, to allow the world to impact you, to feel what you feel in response to that, to express. And a friend shares so beautifully, Marion Hardnoff. I'll put the spelling. I don't know if I get the pronunciation. One of the things that she shares is that our heart longs for expression, right? That's what we're here for. That's the original purpose of this video game, right? And the beautiful part of this video game is that this has been shut down, constrained in all of us. That's the nemesis. That's the essential part of the program that makes it all good, right? Because we were the one out of this infinite boredom. We created this movie that has brought us to this point where we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, right? We know what should happen, like the vast majority of us, right? If you actually kind of stop and talk to whoever the other is and get to know what they value, who they are, pretty much the same things, bro. Just want to be able to feed ourselves, have a good host, and be able to connect with people. Most of us don't really we want to be safe, right? And most of us aren't able to feel that. And that's the video game. That's the hack again. And then as you come within, as you make this existential choice between external and internal world, you cultivate not only your muscle of awareness, your sword of discernment, your strength of vulnerability, right? To experience life, to experience the full breath in life, the rhythms, the pain and the loss and the grief, and really having the ability to reconnect, to face, to seek to understand those patterns inside of us, those ones that we want to get rid of the most, the ones that we try to hide from ourselves and from others. Yet always, always, always find their way to bring pain and disconnection and suffering for ourselves and others. in our conscious are monsters, right? And these monsters, right, we bring them back into the circle of welcoming, right? From that witness, from you grounded into yourself, you're able to connect to the parts, those feelings. You're able to reparent yourself, to be with that child that experienced those things and let them know that they're not alone, that their feelings are valid, and comfort them and soothe them as best as you can. And as we do that, really, as we remove this inner tyrant, as we reconnect towards our driver, as we empower our lions, as we connect towards our passenger, right? Our witness, our Atman, enlightenment, right? Enlightenment. That's the possibility. And it's enlightenment is not some secret in the Himalayas or in some book, right? It's not a permanent refuge from pain or suffering. It's the general lightening up, right? Where we can be with the full natural spectrum, the rhythm of life, the winters and the springs, right? With grace, with resilience, right? That we can enjoy the video game, right? Simple choice. A video game is going to do what it did, right? There's a program, maybe we can change the whole thing. We're not going to do it alone, right? The only way we're going to do it is that we come together. And the only way we can come together is by you coming to you first, right? You being authentic, you reclaiming your sovereignty, you doing your work to heal your world. As we do, we can come together in the paradox, because, right, we only really heal in relationship. So let's seek to be kind again. Like, just imagine the different forms that these 5,000 years have impacted our families or the childhood. We're not dealing with humans or adults. We're dealing with little wounded childs that are reacting in anger and punching and trying to decimate. All they're trying to do is feel safe, loved, that they belong. Right? Everyone. I know I have. When I punch and all those things, it was really this one child that wanted to feel good enough, valuable enough, safe enough, right? Trying to get the outer world to validate me. No bueno, right? Only path, time tested, verified. The only source, sustainable, reliable source for love, self-acceptance, right? Self-worth is within. You following, connecting your feelings, curious about your inspirations, honoring your intuitions and your imaginations. You embarking on your own heroic quest to make your dreams a lived reality. Imagine you got to come into this video game at the pinnacle of 13.8 billion years. Will we continue with the story of separation? Or do we return towards our indigenous and mystical roots? We're all one. And feel this new age, ancient age, its grounding is really within. With so many traditions, that by coming to the unstruck place, by you coming into that passenger, into your Atman, somehow poetically beautiful, you connect with it all. Right? Rumi, you are the ocean of consciousness, having the experience, right? All of divinity, the whole cosmologically perfectly aligned to create you. You. You have a unique and vital gift, the medicine that is required of us. Your epic quest is to liberate yourself, right? Hard work, being with that sadness, with that grief, with that anger, like really what's underneath, right? Let's stand down. Let's stand down. Let's show what courage is, right? Clean pain, feeling triggered, integrating the practice, slow down, stay open, stay curious, maybe a little awe. How the is this all going to turn out? Well, we really become one with the one? We don't know, right? All we know, out of their control, with it. Can you ride the wave, right? Surf is up, right? The surfer, right? The wave's the wave, the outer world. Surfer only serves by being out there, morning, afternoons, and after practice, ultimate concern. Like any art form, you, what you love, what you're here to create, creation, devotion, a practice, discipline to really carve that time for yourself and having that forgiveness, that compassion for the stumbles, right? It's a process. All we're doing is our best. Our best, kind of getting yang, really structural. First hour in your day, 5 minutes in the mid-afternoon, 30 minutes in the evening. That's what the structure I think is going to be for the challenge. Will transform your life. I guarantee you. Give me 28 days. You show up to your practice. Follow some guidance. I will transform you. You will transform your life by making that choice. Cool. So now I get to put this together. Cool. So, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más? Such appreciations. Brave souls. Really. You chose to embody into the most challenging virtual game in all of existence. Right? Life. Tips on the scales. Dark and nefarious forces threaten everything. Will we be the imaginal selves? Will we learn how to communicate? How to speak the same language? How to come together, form agreements, mutual support, right? Creating larger tribes, entities that support us into returning to these ways in a practical way, enacting the greatest comeback of all time. Imagine that. You might say I'm crazy. I've been called that, lo and behold, a few times. But I'm not the only one, right? This story, it's not mine. It's been told to us. Do the research again. Like seriously, allow your inner diamond. Great exercise. I'll give more exercises, but this is what really helped me. Of just trusting. Like, what's book? What do I need to read? And just kind of like, okay, I want to learn this. And books, please, for the love of God, maybe if you want to listen to them, good, but please, a complete thought on a subject, not these 30-second blips. Learn what you want to do. Be who you want to be. Make you your ultimate concern, your practice. Right? Transforms, imagine. Maybe. Who knows? Find out. Next episode. Planet Earth. Late stages capitalism. Hottest ticket in town.